Hey guys, welcome back. This is the fourth part of the giraffe illustration in my making art series. In this episode we will be taking the ink drawings from last time and assembling them in Photoshop and starting the painting and coloring process for the final art. So what you see here, this is my very old Photoshop that I'm working with, one that I got many years ago, and I'm still using it because I'm too cheap to upgrade. And this works fine for my purposes. And you can see I've scanned in and done a little bit of image prep on the ink drawings from the last episode. And let me make this easier for you guys to see. So these individual scans that I have here, sorry, this was the last one I did, the texture scan, which was done with a pencil. Then we did the spots separately, and then we did the main line drawing of the giraffe itself. So these are the three ink drawings brought into Photoshop, scanned and cleaned up. And when I say scanned or cleaned up, what I mean is if we zoom way in, you can see that this inkwork has been changed over, has been made perfectly black and white in some spots, which I will generally do for inkwork. It's kind of an old habit from making comics and things like that. So if we look at the inkwork for the giraffe here, we do the same thing. We'll zoom in, you'll see that it's been turned into basically just black and white. We've eliminated the gray tones. And an area where it's different is if we go over here to this texture layer that I'm pretty sure I want to use. Not 100% sure yet, but you'll see on this one the pixels are gray. So we've got grays, blacks, whites, all that stuff in there. And this is a kind of a step I'm not really showing in the process here because I've kind of skipped ahead. It's not very exciting stuff. If you guys would like me to make a video on that, I certainly can. It's not the most exciting thing to be working on, but I guess it is interesting to some people. So I'm going to get started here on these, and I think the first step is I'm going to bring all of these different ink layers together into a single drawing. Then I'm going to do a little bit of prep work before I start coloring, and then after that we're going to get deep into painting. So here goes the first step. Alright guys, there's the giraffe all sort of together. I did a little bit of cleanup of the texture layer because working with those pencils is it's not exactly the most precise process. Just a little bit of places where there's pencil mark kind of sticking out from the other ink work. So that's all three layers together. Alright, so I'm now going to move on to the next part. Actually, I need to clean up one little place I see right here. I don't really like that. or that. Okay. All right, I think we're kind of good on the line work for the moment. So the next phase that I'm going to be working on is basically we're going to set this drawing up so that I can easily make selections of the giraffe in the background for when I'm painting. And what that means is in Photoshop, everything is about a selection. So if I select this blob, I want to paint inside of that blob, I can do that. So basically we're going to make something like this for the giraffe that we can select not only once, but over and over and over again as we need to. Oops. And to do that, all we're going to do is basically color in the giraffe with what's called a flatting layer. And that will allow me to be able to select them. So here goes the flatting process. So there we go. That's the flattened giraffe. It's literally just one solid block of color, and no, this is not going to be a magenta giraffe. I just pick a pretty bright color that's really easy to see. It's going to be stand out. If I happen to look at the flattening layer while I'm working layer, I want to be able to know that that's what I'm looking at. So I'll tend to try and pick a color that's not really part of my composition, because most of the time this layer is not even going to be visible. It's going to be hidden like that, and I can come along and use the magic wand tool and make a selection and start painting the giraffe like that. So that's what that does. One thing I did notice while I was working is a couple of things in the line work I'm going to jump back into, because I noticed a few areas that I think can be cleaned up. So I'm going to jump back in there and kind of make the line work just a little bit more cleaner before I move on. Alright, that's looking a little bit cleaner. I know it's real hard to tell on a computer, but if somebody's squinting at a printout, some of that stuff that I just cleaned up might be visible. I tend to assume that certain things are going to be visible and take care of them, rather than letting some errors in the finished art show up. Alright, so there is the inked giraffe all cleaned up and ready to get painted. So I'm going to be back in a moment and start putting some colors in. Hey guys, welcome back. It's a good thing I took that little break, because I realized that the microphone I was recording from was actually one built into my laptop, and yeah, there was lots of clicks and clacks and all kinds of noises coming from me using the keyboard, and the microphone on that laptop is built in to the body, like right next to the keyboard. So all that swish and click and clack and all that kind of stuff that was going on, I apologize for that. Yeah, so I'm still learning about this whole recording business. So here we are, back to this file. And I also have, now that I'm getting ready to start working in color, I have this little file over here, corner. Actually, let me make that, I'll make that bigger so you guys can see this for a minute, and then I'll shrink it back down. Here we go. So basically, I've kind of worked out the colors of this illustration ahead of time, and you guys probably realize now, looking at this composition, that I'm actually doing like a 3-panel illustration, like a 3-part illustration. And I have different colors selected for each of those. That's here, left, mid, right. Just ignore this guy. So this is a lot more colors than I typically have in an illustration, but I'm kind of using the colors a little bit to sort of help support the story of the subject matter. So, all right, let me shrink this back down. I could just make swatches of these and all that, but I kind of like to have it in a file that I sort of just keep down here in the corner, and I can jump over here and grab my colors whenever I need them. Although I do need to make this a little bit smaller so I can see those. Let me do that for right now. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to start painting, and also going to be copying the giraffe over into the 3 different color panels as well, and they're all going to be slightly different. So I guess I'll come back to you guys in a little while. Okay guys, here's the first giraffe, kind of just roughed in with color, painted just a little bit. I just wanted to stop for a second and kind of go over what I've done. Really just laying in some basic shadows and things like that. And you can see that line layer that I did for the spots actually knocked that way back. So that was originally, looked like that, which this is why I inked it on a separate layer so that I could just very easily blend that in. Where do I have it? Somewhere about there. So that the lines are there, but they're not really competing with the other line work around the giraffe. So I've got more work to do in the background, so I'll probably do that coming up next, and then I'll probably move on to the other two panels, the other two giraffes, and then I will do a sweep over the entire illustration before finishing up. Guys, this video is running a little long, so I'm going to take the rest of the digital painting and push that on over into a part 6 video, which I hope you guys will come on over and enjoy. Thanks very much for watching. I appreciate it.